Welcome everyone to the Tactical Tavern. My name is Tomas, and in this video, we are breaking down the Ballistic Dummy Lab test on my brand new Agent 007 in collaboration with T.Kell Knives. So let's cut into it. I am beyond stoked. This is my very first knife design coming to market. I'm honored to be doing it with T.Kell Knives, the Agent 007 Tac-Tav Tanto. Absolutely wicked in design, but also practical in purpose. The thought behind this design was an armor-piercing tanto that provided effortless penetration, still some slashing capabilities, but also provided an acute point for detailed cutting work in an everyday carry roll. And we got to test it on a $3,000 ballistic dummy lab, which is a scientific medium designed for testing and crime scene replication. So I was honored to do it with Chris, the owner himself. Let's see what the capabilities are. I started out with a 2-finger stab, just holding the weight of the blade, letting the tip do the work, and it went in a substantial way, as you can see here. Following that, I wanted to see how it could stab with just the arm drop, meaning there was no force, no weight behind it, just letting the tip drop, and it went dang near all the way. I really wanted to get feedback from this while using the prototype as seen here to see what modifications needed to be made and how well it would perform. One of the things I was really happy to see is because of the angle of this, it was able to go in easy, but more importantly, it was also able to extract easy. I specifically didn't have a super thick sharpening choil, so that way it wouldn't get hung up on ribs or any packaging materials. When I did a full thumb cap weight drop on the edge of the shoulder, it went all the way in effortlessly, which was just so beautiful to see. Having something you design come to life and feeling it in your hand and having it perform even better than you thought is a very exciting feeling. And as you can see, I was very happy with the results. I really like the ballistic dummy gel because not only can you see how it penetrates, but you can see the wound channel that it leaves behind, and that is just so fun to look at. Not only did I want something that was going to be able to effortlessly stab through materials, I wanted something that you could still slash with, even though it is a more slim package. So that was the next test. I did a thumb cap on the jimping and gave it a whack on the shoulder. Again, minimal effort because we're also in confined space, and it just sailed through that gel. I was really surprised by the results, so I wanted to replicate them, but this time I wrapped it around like in a hammer grip, and here's the results on that. I would say this is at least the blade length, which is roughly 3.75 inches all the way through. Wherever that edge touched, it was cutting through, which is a testament to not only the geometry, but also the sharpening capabilities from T.Kell. All right, now came the tip strength test, and I wanted to do a penetration right in between the rib cage. And here's how that went. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the design and probably questioned the strength of the tip, which is its biggest plus and its biggest con because it is much thinner. So I really wanted to use this time on the ballistic dummy to give me that feedback and see if any improvements needed to be made or if the geometry was going to hold up just fine. On this forward stab while utilizing the jimping, it went right in. Now, the only thing stopping it was the thumb, which I thought was awesome. Furthermore, on closer inspection, it actually cut the rib on the way in. During this test, while thrusting into the rib cage, I not only wanted to test the tip strength, but I also wanted to make sure the dimensions were nailed down perfectly. Because spoiler alert, while I was designing this, I looked at the measurements in between the rib cage on anatomy and physiology, making sure that it was able to twist and puncture effortlessly for maximum personal protection capabilities. And you may see some subtle resemblance to a scalpel, which is all intentional. This next stab is one of my favorites. I took it into a Pakal grip, which again, the grip design allows you to hold this in a variety of ways. I stabbed it right into the ribs and it split the ribs entirely. Not only that, but on extraction, it provided a 4-inch wide gash into the ballistic dummy torso, providing maximum damage on the way out. Lastly, during this repeat thrusting, my hand did not slide forward whatsoever, and Chris at Ballistic Dummy even loaded these up with extra juice for the show. There was no worry about it sliding forward. Not only do you have the jimping, but you also have a substantial guard and some grip cutouts in the handle, so your hand is protected. This really is one of my favorite stabs, this reverse grip, stab and rip out. I just have to highlight here how well it performed, not only in tip strength, having zero deformation on the tip, but just splitting in between those ribs on extraction, and how effortlessly it was not only to split, but extract. Made me fall in love with this knife even more. And we did a close look to make sure there was no deformation on the tip, which is just a true testament to the heat treat capabilities from T.Kell Knives. This one is 80 CRV2, but it's also going to be offered in AEBL stainless steel. And I was feeling it. I stabbed into the center cage, did a roll around, which is something that you should never do when extracting your blade. It will damage most knives easily, but it didn't damage this one. The sternum stab with a twist out is something I would never recommend you do with a blade because you're more than likely gonna snap it, especially if it's a folding blade. but there was zero tip damage even after that insane torture test. Next, I plunged it deep into the chest cavity. Now I wanted to see how this would perform and how deep it could go. It actually got stopped on the rib. And I thought to myself, you know what? We're gonna have to add an accelerator on here because I wanna see how the handle transitions to the blade. Making that a little bit more smoother would allow it to plunge deeper. And sure enough, bam, went deep. Now, two things that I love about this. One, it has that flat back, so you can use other parts of your body to drive it in further. Second, it was still able to be extracted because of the hook on the handle, providing excellent grip. You can still get your tool back. And again, I just want to highlight how easy it is to extract out of the chest cavity because of thoughtfully placed jimping and overall design. We did a few more slashes on the torso gel just to make sure that it still held an edge even after all the rib plunging. And sure enough, it was razor sharp. This next one was exactly what I had in mind while I was designing this blade, to be able to stab in and slash out, which is going to cause one of the most amounts of damage in a cut. And this performed flawlessly. You can see this insane wound channel that it was able to generate. I'm happy. I'm gonna replay this with a short clip of the audio so you guys can hear the sound that it made while it filleted out. Yeah, that's insane. This is even significantly more damage than a small caliber pistol. So yeah, sometimes it's good to bring a knife to a gunfight. And I'm gonna pause it here and zoom in on the tip. There is no deformation on the tip, but that to me wasn't good enough. So I handed it over to Chris to see what he could do with it. Something I really enjoyed that Chris did at Ballistic Dummy Lab is that he went very slow and methodical on the testing, not only in the extraction, but also those cuts. So you can see exactly how much it's gonna fillet, showing the tremendous capabilities with minimal effort. Next, I had him give it some thrust into that chest cavity to really put it through its paces and see how well it would hold up. Now, Chris is a very strong guy. He was giving it his all, and I love that. Now, there was some minor tip deformation, but nothing significant. So of course I had to keep going and see if it would still perform. Taking inspiration from his slow cut, I did one more stab in and cut out. And even after all this testing, it was still razor sharp and offered effortless penetration. I mean, look at that chunk of flesh that it just removed. And you can see here, if we zoom in very closely, some minor tip deformation. I keep it 100% honest with you guys. This was designed for a personal protection tool. And even if you go through a chest or a plate carrier, it's still gonna have a ton of capabilities behind it, which is something I love about blades. Even though it can snap, break, whatever, you still have something in your hand that you can use. Unlike a firearm, if a recoil spring goes out, it just turns into a paperweight. No matter what happens to your blade, you keep going and you keep fighting. And here we're gonna end it on a chest cavity shot right into the heart with easy extraction. That right there is the Agent 007 from T.Kell Knives and myself, Tomas. I hope this video helps answer some of your questions about the tip strength and durability of the Agent 007, as well as providing some thoughts and insights along the design and functionality of this blade. These are dropping December 7th at 7 p.m. I'll go ahead and provide a link down below. And if you guys are interested, use discount code TACTAB to save 10% off your order. This is a blade reservation, meaning they're currently being made. And for those of you wondering, the sheath design is going to be a Kydex sheath with multiple mounting options and slot designs to accommodate a variety of carry options, as well as a Delta sheath, which is ambidextrous with a discrete carry concept clip. If you want the most versatile mounting options, go with the Kydex. If you want something ambidextrous, go with the Delta. Or do what I usually do and get both, so you have options depending on what you're wearing. And yes, there will be trainer options available as seen here. I highly recommend you go with a bright viz color like the orange or a blue to signify that it's a trainer, to keep your training partner safe and happy. I also want to give a big thank you to the Tactical Tavern Tribe. Thank you guys for following along on this journey. I hope you guys enjoyed this blade and I hope it keeps some of you safe. With that being said, my name is Tomas. Thank you again for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And remember, be prepared, be practical, stay tactical.